Down.
Hi, this is Jackie Grant from We Grant Fitness and Health, and this is the Change and Grow Wellness Show, the show for you, the busy professional who wants to live a healthier, happier life with increased energy and productivity. And today in our show, we're talking about how you can be your own stuntman and stunt woman, which can then improve your sleep and your lifestyle. And our guest today is Felix, HL. Felix will tell me what his surname is soon because I don't know. So welcome, Felix. And Felix is an entrepreneur, a stuntman, plus a personal trainer. So that's so amazing. So Felix, tell us which one came first.
Good afternoon, everyone. So obviously it's not every day you get to meet a stuntman, so I'll be able to share you as much as I can about what that involves. So which one came first? A good question. I'd like to say the story started when I was 3, because that's when I started watching Power Rangers, and from that day I wanted to be a Power Ranger. And out of all the kids in my school who wanted to be a fireman and a ballerina, I was probably the only kid who actually got very close to what they wanted to be. I used to fall over a lot, and I used to get some rough comments from my mother about that, but lo and behold, now I get paid for it. So I suppose the seeds were sowed early on. However, it was really at the age of 12 that I decided I wanted to be a stuntman. And that's where I started doing things like working my physical fitness, and then on my acrobatics and martial arts. Later on, focusing more on things like lifestyle, like the sleep things, and really then cultivating from there. And that Stunts grew through the next number of years, from which sprouted my business, my entrepreneurship, and my coaching of people through their lifestyle and their physical movement.
Brilliant. That's great. So, how much of a stuntman are you, Felix? What things have you done? I mean, I know what you've done from your bio, but like, tell our audience what you've done.
It's a very broad question. And how much for stuntman? What is a stuntman? How do you judge it? Well, I obviously do stunts professionally. Things that people would most remember or most identify is I worked on the first and last Star Wars films, so number 7 and number 9. I did some work on Game of Thrones back in season 5. I did a great stint on a movie called Paddington 2, where I was doing the splits between 2 trains. Less of your average everyday stunt, but it was extremely fun. One of the best jobs I've ever done. I've worked on Coronation Street. I've worked on a couple of Netflix shows, mostly bits of TV and film, from Agatha Christie to like more independent films. So it's been a mixture. Most stunts, just in general, is based around fighting, whether it's brawling in a bar or wielding a sword like in Dracula, or a gun in Star Wars. And that's like your bread and butter stuff. And then the rest of the stuff, which is involved falling over gracefully or not gracefully, and doing acrobatics and falling off high buildings and stuff. That's like the more fun stuff you get to do when various opportunities come up.
Okay, great. So Felix, how has being a stuntman influenced your health? Like, how has it impacted on your health?
It's a great question. Well, I'll be honest with you. When I first started wanting to be a stuntman at the age of 12, I was probably the least fit kid in school. So I was the kind of guy who would be last to be picked in football teams. I didn't enjoy PE. Back in those days, as it may well be now, if you're not good at sport, then they don't really pay much attention to you. So you just get put with the worst coaches, and you just sort of go downhill. So I never really valued my health very much those days. But then it was around about the time I wanted to be a stuntman, I realized that I needed to take a bit more of a personal responsibility in my health rather than letting school do all the work. So the first early stages were just literally working on my fitness and doing things like push-ups and sit-ups and running and things like that. It was more or less around the age 16, 17, I started to look more on the holistic side of health. So I look at things like getting the right kind of sleep, looking at stretching and the best way to get there quickly, I looked at my eating a lot, and I did a lot of changes in terms of my diet and eating to make sure I had enough energy. Because I was training sort of 4.5 hour days every day of the week, pretty much. There's a time where I was doing 30 hours training a week, so I really need to make sure that my energy was like 100%. And that's where I started to value my health more. And things like staying flexible, things like having balance in your schedule, things like being able to sleep properly became really important.
Okay. So, right, it became very important. So, in terms of being a stuntman, that was the correlation. That's how you started to think about like your health and started to implement it more. So, what made you become a personal trainer then?
Well, it kind of developed itself organically. So the first route was through flexibility,
Sorry?
and the first route was through flexibility. So through flexibility coaching, and at the time, this is around about 2009, I think. I spent a lot of time in gymnastics gyms doing my own stunt training, and people would often ask me questions like, "How do you get the splits? How do you get flexible quickly? How do you touch your toes and things like that?" And
Yeah.
so I just shared tips to people because it was what I was quite good at. I focused on it quite a bit over the years, and over time, having had a business background, I'd run a business before. I thought, well, maybe I can turn this into a proper business idea, and I cultivated it. And in around about 2014, I started to take it more seriously. And come 2016, that's where I opened my face-to-face business. So we coach people in classes of how to get flexible and do some one-to-one personal training with people on their flexibility. But it was through working with people in a corporate environment where people are working long hours, sitting
Yeah.
down for periods. I started to realize that flexibility wasn't the only thing. And
Yeah.
people needed things like good sleep. People needed to look after their eating and their drinking water and stuff. And obviously moving in a way that constructs their body rather than just giving themselves more injuries.
Yes.
And that's where I follow the more holistic line of health. So yes, I would sort of cover your sexy modes of training, like how to look good naked, how to have strong muscles and big muscles and stuff like that. But in the background, and also offering it if people wanted it, more of a holistic approach where people could have help with their sleep, have help with their day-to-day lifestyle, have help with their eating, so that everything was working and no stone was left unturned. Because I know what it's like to spend 6 days in the gym, you're working really hard, but because you're not sleeping, then you've got no energy and nothing goes anywhere. So that's what made me really value this full spectrum approach of health that I now coach.
I'm really interested in the flexibility because, in terms of, people asking you questions, what were the main questions that people asked you about flexibility? What ones came up on a regular basis for you?
I mean, how to get the splits was the obvious one. And
Yeah.
how do I get the splits next week? And well, you got a couple of options. Number one is be this far away from the splits now, and then I can probably get you there in a week. Number two is if you make a few incisions in your muscles underneath, then you'll get to the splits very quickly. You just might not get out. So this is sort of these are the only ways that people could get really fast results. And but everyone obviously wants it now; they want it yesterday. But
Yeah, of
in terms
course.
of flexibility, it's about understanding that long-term journey and getting yourself up a ladder so that you continue to make progress. Other questions people would ask me is sort of how do you get flexible faster? How do you touch your toes? How do I get as flexible as I do? And so I share things like the kind of regimes I do, the sort of stretches I do afterwards. Sometimes people want specific stretches, like what stretch can I do for my lower back, for example,
Yeah.
or what stretch can I do for my ankle if I get calf cramp. But the main two things that I always share to people that will help more than anything for your flexibility is number one, relax before you stretch. So if you're trying to push yourself against a brick wall, then your body will fight back, and that usually ends up with snapped muscles and injuries and just being more pain and losing your relationship with flexibility. Most people don't do it because it hurts, and if
Yeah.
you're giving yourself more pain, you're going to be less encouraged to do it. The
Mm.
second is just regularity. Now, if someone's got an hour a week to stretch, I'd much rather them skip that hour yoga session and carve up that hour a week into 7 lots of 8 minutes, because that's actually going to get them far better results than doing 1 hour at a time. I mean, I talk to the people like brushing your teeth. You're not going to sit there on a Sunday night brushing your teeth for an hour and say, well, I'm done for the week and I need to brush my teeth again.
Yeah.
So it's a little and often thing.
Brilliant. That's great. So how do you think people, in relation to them being their own stuntman, get better sleep? What would be the tips that you would say to them?
It's a great question. And there are lots of things that I do in terms of sleep routine, what I call sleep hygiene, to help myself sleep properly, both when I wake up and before I go to bed. Now, the number one is probably that wind down period. So when we sort of go to bed, it's quite common to be watching TV or playing on your phone or doing WhatsApp and stuff like that. Now you have to bear in mind that the body is based around chemicals, and you when you go to bed, the reason why we go to bed at the time that we do is that there's a chemical in your body called melatonin, which sends us to sleep. Now this chemical gets highest when it's darkest. So the reason why we go to bed when it's dark is because you physically feel more tired. However, if you're staring at a phone or a computer or an Xbox or a TV screen, your brain thinks you're staring at the sun and it's all light outside. Therefore, there's no point in going to sleep. So the more you stare at lights, like phones and computers and things, the harder it is to get to sleep. Now, I'm not saying don't use the phone at all. More that in the last hour before you go to bed, try and limit your phone as much as you can and other screen-based stuff. And then if you want to get really good at it, just have that weaning period off from using that device. So maybe start with 10 minutes, where 10 minutes before you go to bed, you're not using any kind of screens. And then a couple of nights later, try 20 minutes and then 30 minutes. I try and have no screens or at least as little as possible in the last hour before I go to bed. That's something to work up to, especially if you're used to be on WhatsApp all the time right before you go to bed. That should be my number one. And then I'd look at what sort of things you're doing that might interfere with your sleep later on. Now, these are things like big meals, very salty food, food that gives you heartburn, like vindaloo curry is probably not the best to have for your dinner. Anything that's a stimulant, so lots of chocolate, lots of coffee, energy drinks, that's all got a chance of keeping you awake at night. And that's the sort of stuff that will leave you lie awake a night before you go to bed, but also potentially have quite a light sleep so that you don't really feel like you had a proper night's sleep. So those would be probably my two recommendations. I could go on for a whole half hour about sleep.
It's all right.
Let's not do that. Start with these two. Don't get overwhelmed. Start with those two, and you'll be off to a good start.
Exactly. That's amazing. That's brilliant, Felix. They were so clear, your explanation on, melatonin and actually, the light from the laptops and phones and everything. So that was really clear. Yeah. So thank you. And I'm sure that will help a lot of people. So the next thing was what I wanted to ask you is in terms of lifestyle, what other tips can people be thinking about with their lifestyle that they can start being their own stuntman or stunt woman?
I mean, I would say look at balance. That's probably the key thing. So making sure that whatever you're doing, there's a good balance of different things, from physical movement to a bit of flexibility, stretching, yoga stuff, to working, as obviously you need to do your job, and looking after your body in some kind of way through eating and drinking and things, and making sure that whatever you do, it's in balance. So you're not eating McDonald's every day. You have McDonald's once a week. You're not sort of having 5 beers every single evening. You have your times where you treat yourself. Having that kind of balance, that really helps. I think one thing that helps people more than anything in their lifestyle is just being more hydrated. So again, that's a bit like the flexibility. Like regularity is probably better than having loads of water. I see so many people who carry a 2 litre water around with them, and then at 9 p.m. they have a litre and a half to try and net because they haven't drunk it. If you can drink like a sip every hour, that's going to keep you on top of it, keeps your brain sharp and focused, and stops you getting dizzy. So that's a really big like helper to lifestyle. And I suppose in terms of lifestyle, it's just keeping moving as well. Like so easy to get so focused on what you want to do. When you're running a business and you want it to work, or you've got a sharp deadline and you work in your company, and sit there for 10 hours and not move. But then that's like for your body sort of being locked in a jail. So if you can find excuses to get up and move around, it helps. My best excuse, and this works in with the previous point, is have a bottle of water that you fill up, leave it away from your desk. So you have to go and get it to drink the water. Drink some water. Drink lots of water when you go and get it. Sit down. Now, about an hour later, you're going to need the toilet. So you get up, you go to the toilet, you go back down, drink some more water. Then you're going to need the toilet again. So by drinking water and getting up and going to the bathroom, then you're helping to keep that flow through your body, so you keep your body nice and healthy. But also, it's an excuse to get up, and no one's going to stop you from doing that. So that would be what I recommend. Is just like keep yourself hydrated, keep moving around, and that's just going to keep your body in balance. It's your metabolism, so it helps with things like weight loss and stuff. So there's so much more benefits that you can get just by having that balance within your day.
Brilliant. That's great, Felix. Two good things to bring into your lifestyle. And actually, putting the bottle far away is such a good idea, and getting people to, get up and get it, because especially those that are really desk bound quite a lot, it's really good to you've got those two things that you can put in place. So thank you so much for that. So Felix, tell us about a client that you have been able to, get some great results with around, maybe sleep flexibility. I mean, you choose whatever client that you think that you've had some great results with and you want to tell our audience.
I mean, my biggest breakthrough is probably with a client who had Parkinson, and most people think about
what did he have?
A client who had Parkinson's. So most people who think of Parkinson's being quite a debilitating condition and something you can't really get out of. But I always keep an open mind. I like to believe that where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
He came to me because he was really suffering from his flexibility. Parkinson's involves a lot of tremors and hypertension. And because he was squeezing up and tensing all the time, it affected his flexibility. So obviously he came to me because he had a need of flexibility. So we worked on things like that. And within the first 4 weeks, got to a level where when he started, he was barely walking. Like people often recognize Parkinson's victims as shuffling about the floor, got their head hunched over and stuff. So we worked on that. I physically sort of taught him how to walk again while working on his flexibility. And within 4 weeks, he was pacing up and down the room. His flexibility was better. But over time, as he worked on flexibility more, I mean, he started out barely being able to touch his knees, and now he's getting his hands flat on the floor. So it was a real big transformation in terms of that term. But I think what really helped him more than anything was his mindset. Now with my coaching, because it's quite holistic, there's a big mind aspect to it. And I've noticed that a lot of people are limited by their kind of beliefs. Maybe I've always been big bones, or I find it hard to lose weight, or I've got this craving for chocolate, or whatever it is. And there's these like mental things that are holding them back. So we work on these things as well as the physical aspect of it. And we worked very much on his mindset, and that started to increase his confidence. And suddenly he was becoming one of the best in his work, one of the most respected people in his company, because suddenly all of his great ideas could come out. He had so much potential there, which wasn't being harnessed because he was feeling nervous having this condition. And now that he's able to come to terms with a bit more, he's got better physical ability, but also we worked on his confidence specifically. now that's able to come out and people really respect him and has really turned around his life. So I think for a combination of those things, obviously we're working on his fitness, obviously we're working on his health and his health's getting better, working on things like weight and things like that. But I think for him, the way he felt was more important than anything. And having that energy, having that confidence, and the ability that went behind it really helped change the way he saw himself.
That's amazing. That's amazing, Felix. It's really good work. So, Felix, what final words have you got about people being their own stunt man or stunt woman?
Well, I would say number one is to take your responsibility into your own hands. So it's very easy to blame the weather, Brexit, the politicians, school for what's happened. But when you start to blame other people, you remove responsibility from yourself and then you become powerless. Now, as soon as you're powerless, it's a very crushing emotion to have. So always ask yourself, if you've got some kind of problem where it's maybe you're not happy with your weight, or maybe you haven't got enough energy, or you've got a niggle or pain in your back or knee that is really bugging you, think, what can I do to help with that? Now, that might be asking for the right kind of support. It might be doing some research. It might be changing your lifestyle in a certain way, thinking about what you can do to help solve it. Because the more responsibility you take, the easier that's going to be, but also the happier you feel, the more confident because you're taking your life into your own hands, just as I did when I was the age of 12 and the least likely person to be a stuntman. And then it's just having a vision and don't feel like you have to hold yourself back. So really map out for yourself, what is it I want? What kind of physical health do I want? What body do I want? What do I want to be able to do with my body in 5 or 10 years time? And then really work towards achieving that, because it's very easy to fall into that trap where, oh, well, I've had back pain for the last 10 years, I'm going to have it for the rest of my life, or just be comfortable with being overweight. But you really can be whatever you want to be. And by finding out exactly what you want and what that ideal would be, it makes it easy to move towards that. And then you can start to make these changes, make gradual changes just to be more balanced. And that moderation, it will help more than anything. So having the right amount of fun, the right amount of work, the right amount of physical movement, and being able to appreciate this balance as well. Something like a chocolate bar is going to feel much nicer when it's more of a treat. And that's true with anything in terms of balance. If you can find the right kind of balance, I think that's pretty key to being a stuntman, because then you'll find that you really are doing your own stunts. You're able to do things you've never done before, whether it's running marathon or maybe it's playing cricket with your kids where before you were always out of breath, or maybe it's going on holiday where before you just felt like you could never go out on the beach because you were uncomfortable about the way you look. Suddenly you can do all these amazing things because you took the power into your own hands. So I would say, if for anyone who wants to do their own stunts, whatever that is, from lifestyle to family stuff to traveling, know that you can do it and start to get really clear at what you want and start to work towards those things, because then it really is possible.
Brilliant. Thank you, Felix. And Felix, where can people find you?
Well, I'm a lot around on Facebook and Instagram. So I've got 2 Instagram channels. Number one is my stunty profile, because you get to see me do some cool flexible stuff, which is quite unique. So that's at Flexi Felix Stunts. And if you want to get more tips on how to get better sleep and be more healthy and be more flexible and so on, then if you look at my coaching profile, which is at Superflex Coaching, SUPERFLEX Coaching, then you can find a lot of tips about what I'm doing within my own lifestyle and also how to improve your own physical health. If anyone wants to have a free chat with me just to see how they can make some improvements on their health and what the best steps are with that, they're more than welcome. Best way is if you are you've got some kind of challenge, go on to getoutofpain.co.uk, which is literally as it sounds, and that will it will just start up an automated chat with me on Facebook, and then I'll be able to jump in and have a chat with you one-to-one. And you can use that link really for anything, whether it's advice on how to be a stuntman or how to drink more water. You don't necessarily have to be in pain, but that will directly link you to me in a pretty easy way. But if you feel like you're not ready yet, or you just want to have some tips, then jump on the Instagram profiles. They should be linked to Facebook as well. Obviously, I'm on Facebook as well, so you can find me there. But Instagram has like direct links to that, so it's Instagram is probably the easiest way to start, and then you can keep in the loop of all the things I'm doing and how you can use that to help your own life.
Brilliant. Thank you, Felix. So it's been great having you on. So guys, Felix has said exactly where you can catch him on Instagram, and it was a really interesting talk with him today about sleep, about hydration, about lifestyle. So, you know, if you did not pick those tips up, you need to rewind and listen to this again and take those tips and take whatever tips you can forward, whatever small tips you can on the day-to-day basis. And I'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. And if anyone is curious about what my last name was, because I know, Jackie, you really want to know, it's Felix Leap. So, like the little suckers you get on the beach.
There we go. So take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.